Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Apex Podcast. We have the full trio here today, and we have a lot to talk about, from World Cup to Spa to making our predictions for Hungary. It's going to be a fun episode today. I'm joined by both my co-hosts today. Paul, how are you on this lovely Tuesday?
Doing wonderful. How are you guys today?
Thriving. How about you,
Thriving
Josh?
and surviving.
Doing good. Staying inside. I'm not going to even look at the outside. It's too hot.
Right before we hopped on, Joe was like, yeah, I'm just going to get changed and I'm going to go play some golf tonight. He does like Tuesday night men's league. And I'm like, I'm indoor cranking the AC down to 68 and catching up on every show I didn't watch this weekend, because this weekend was all about sports. So let's get right into it. The 2026 FIFA World Cup has officially come to an end, and I want to know your thoughts on both of the games this weekend, because for the first time ever, I watched both. Y'all have got me hooked. You got me locked and loaded in. So Josh, I will come to you first. What were your thoughts on the third place match and the World Cup finals?
Wow, the third place match just had it all, didn't it? That was one of the more fun games that I've ever watched. It was back and forth, great goals, great scoring. Like, you can say what you want about either of those teams. I honestly think that should have been the final.
It felt like it.
It felt like the final. It had all the makings of what could have been one of the best finals like ever. Just the complexion of that game was so much fun. Whether that was because it was a third place game and there wasn't a whole lot of tension on the line, maybe. But either way, it was such a good match. The Spain Argentina match I felt was a little lackluster. It didn't pick up until the extra time was added at the end. I was a little disappointed by Argentina's their formation, the way they played, the way they carried themselves. I was just a little expected more out of that match. So, congratulations to Spain. They deserve that win, hands down, no questions asked. They deserve that win. But I just wish it would have been a little bit better of a match for the kind of the end cap of what was an amazing tournament.
Agreed. Paul, what are your thoughts?
Listen, I can't, everything Josh said, just add me to whatever he said. I mean, he cemented it perfectly. It was an amazing tournament, probably one of the best I've watched in recent memory. That third place match, in my opinion, should have been the final. It was just this spectacular game. I took a nap during the first half and then I woke up and I was like, holy shit, what is happening right now? So I had to go back and rewatch it. It's such a great game. The final, it left a little bit to be desired, honestly. Not the way you want to finish it, but nonetheless, congrats to Spain. I thought that they were going to win it from the jump. That was the team that was supposed to win it from the jump. Such a young team, such high aspirations, and Spain is going to be a team to reckon with in the near future. I mean, they're already here, but for the next couple World Cups, they're going to be that team that is just going to continue to make a deep run. So I hate that it ended. I hate that we have to wait another 4 years for this to happen again, but I'm glad that it happened. I'm glad that we have the memories. And now it's one of those things. It's like, what do I do with my hands for the next 4 years? Because my TV was on soccer 24/7. And now it's like, I got to go back to being a real human.
Like I was the perfect target audience for whatever marketing happened during the 2026 World Cup, because I've never been a soccer fan. I think cumulatively, I've maybe watched one full soccer game ever before, except for like going to Houston Dynamo games here. So I think I was like the perfect target population, because now, well, I agree. Now I'm kind of like, well, what? I have to wait another 4 years for this? I'm like, I really enjoyed it, especially this weekend. And I think that third place match, like at first I was like, okay, well, I'll watch the first half. And if it's not entertaining, I'll turn it off. And it was so incredibly good. Just the back and forth, watching the sportsmanship, I just had a lot of fun watching that. And then the match yesterday, I was like, I don't know, I guess I was expecting more because of how intense the third place match was. And I was like, if the third place match was that competitive and that much fun, then like I can only imagine how great the final is going to be tomorrow. And then like I was kind of like, first half, I was like, what? I was like, what? No scores, nothing. And I was like, I don't know. It felt like Spain was very dominant. And I don't know a thing about soccer. It felt like Spain was dominating without any points on the board.
Yeah, not a
And then
feeling
all
at
of a
all.
sudden,
That's
the
what
goal,
happened.
And then the second one that got pulled back, I was like, oh my gosh, like all of a sudden I'm like jumping up and screaming. But what a fun World Cup. I feel like it does make me want to like learn a bit more about soccer. And, soccer's obviously growing in sport in the US. And with us having a team here in Houston, I'm like, hey, maybe we should take advantage of that a lot more. So y'all got to give me some tips.
Now you got to save up money because the next World Cup is in 2030, which would be in Spain, Portugal, and Morocco. With a
Here's the
few
great part though.
with a few games in Uruguay and Argentina.
We've got the connect in Spain, Paul. My father-in-law lives in Spain. We've got the place to stay.
You are
Perfect.
now just mentioning this?
I've mentioned it before. My
I don't pay
father-in-law
attention.
lives
I don't
outside
pay attention
Malaga,
to
so
when
I
you
don't know
talk.
where the games are going to be, but we could at least fly into Malaga. We've got a car we can use, and we go on a road trip. So
Perfect.
we've
I'm
got
in.
reduced costs. It's
Yeah.
not that we have no costs; we have reduced costs.
Perfect. And for me, I just want to add one last thing to this World Cup. It's kind of a bittersweet feeling because some of the players that I grew up watching, Messi, Ronaldo, this is it. This is it. They're hanging up their boots. We won't ever see them at this stage again. So for me, it was definitely a tough feeling because I can't speak for Josh, but I grew up watching these guys. Some of my best memories of watching soccer was watching Messi with
Yeah.
Barcelona or Cristiano Ronaldo with Real Madrid and Manchester United. And it's like it's gone. And there'll be another group of people to take over their shoes. But to me, it's tough. It's such a bittersweet feeling that, now you just gotta move on. And that's the way the world works, right? We gotta move on. But it's gonna be a big void in our hearts going forward.
Yeah, that was one thing Joe said. Joe said, it's always tough to watch something end and you want it to end on a good note for the greats, right? Like I don't know anything about Messi, but like knowing if this was his last match, like it would have been great to see him do well. I wanted Spain to win, but it would have been great to see him do well and leave, the sport that way. So I get it. You always want the greats to retire on a high. That's just part of being a fan of any sport, but I get that. I
Absolutely.
think it's what a testament to a career, an absolutely insane longevity of the career. Soccer players' careers seem so much longer than the span of so many other sports. So I am excited to like learn now about maybe there were some bigger names from like this round. Like I never knew who, Erling Haaland was. I never knew who Jude Bellingham was. Like there are other players that kind of became like more Instagram famous to us non-soccer fans. So I can't wait to learn more about who that next like up and coming round of the sport is so that come 2030, I know a little bit more, a little more educated.
You got 4 years to catch up.
I got
Mhm.
4 years. Y'all put me through soccer university.
We gotta get you a
Absolutely.
club, get you a club team, get you locked in on the US. They'll do their World Cup qualifying stuff. That'll be over the next couple of years. There's plenty of
Listen,
international soccer in the summers.
as long as you don't pick Arsenal to be your team, I don't care who you pick.
I actually decided on them today.
On
Perfect. Look
who?
at this.
Arsenal.
Nice.
I'm done.
I'm just
I'm
kidding.
done.
I
I
just said
can't.
that just because you said it. I don't even know who Arsenal is.
I quit this podcast.
That's what you get for posting crap selfies of me. I'm going to go all in on Arsenal.
They're
You'll just-
natural selfies.
Y'all will have to put me through soccer university the next 4 years, okay? Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so World Cup ended. Great, great World Cup finale. We had, the exciting match on Saturday before the finale on Sunday. We had an absolutely lit race at Spa. So let's transition and jump into the world of Formula One. Let's talk about the Belgian Grand Prix. And Paul, I will come to you first this time. What were your thoughts on the Belgian Grand Prix?
It sucked. It was stupid. I hated it. Let's just get into it. That should not have been a penalty. I thought overall the race was fine. Whatever. It is what it is. Lando Norris looked amazing. That new power unit that they have seems like something is working
Worth
there.
the penalty for sure.
Definitely worth it. That dude was on a tear. I thought for a minute there he was going to win it. I was like, dude, is this guy going to run away with it? So good for him. Isaac Hadjar also had a great weekend. I believe. Hang on, guys, slow down. Sorry, the dog just figured out the squeaker in their poison. Now they're going crazy.
Wrigley's just having fun.
And
Let him
he's
be a
just
pup.
living life. But I believe what Isaac Hadjar made up 15 spots at one point. So, congrats to him. Congrats to Kimmy. Another solid win. Nice battle there between him and Charles. I really thought the Ferrari was going to take it. But the FIA is fucking dumb. They have it out for Lewis. And no, they don't. I mean, you can say that about anybody in the history of time. But that should not have been a penalty.
What are your thoughts, Josh?
It was a race. I definitely have worse opinions on the regulation cycle after this race and kind of listening to the drivers' comments about them. So I'm a little discouraged about where this regulation set's going. As far as the race itself, I'm glad to see that Ferrari has got a little bit more pace, and it looks like they're closing the gap to Mercedes. It looks like McLaren's going to be coming up as well at some point in the next few races, especially after the summer break. So I think that we got a little bit more of a constructors battle brewing, which is always good to see more teams getting into the mix. Once again, it seems like there's a huge gap between the top four and the rest of the field, and that this continues to look, like wider and wider. And I don't see that closing up anytime soon. So that's a little, disheartening to see some of these teams that we had touted as being potential, you know, teams like, well, we'll just say Williams, for example. Like we had been picking Williams for the last couple of years to have a huge glow up here and to be able to be like a top midfield, if not like battling for podiums occasionally type team, and to see them sucked so far down the order is really disheartening. I qualifying itself, like we'll say, like I don't know if you should be allowed to have a toe like that. I know it's part of the racing, but when you have sister teams that can help you out, it just seems a little out of the character of the sport, right? So I don't know. I was really Lando Norris has been the most back and forth guy with these regulations set. And
Yeah.
his comments, like at the beginning, were very negative, and then very positive, and then back to negative. And then this weekend, he was pretty much saying that like this is no longer a car that is the winning of Formula One right now is no longer determined by the driver, the pilot of the car. It's so much more dependent on how the software and the energy deployment works. And I don't like that, if that makes sense. Like
Absolutely makes
that seems
sense.
to be the wrong direction. I like to see the
Like the
drivers.
opposite of what we were trying to do?
Yeah, I wanted to see more racecraft and to see like the drivers' full skill on display with machinery that was, a little bit more racy, as opposed to the last regulation set where the drivers couldn't even follow each other due to just the airflow issues. So to hear Lando pretty much say that this is just a computer that they're piloting and the computer's doing all the work, it makes me, curious to see if there's going to be any kind of fix to that in the future, or if maybe that's why the rumor is they're just going to abandon this altogether. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think that statement kind of mimics what Oscar said during qualifying. He said, when qualifying is set by computers rather than driver performance, like that's not fun racing for anybody. So I think we're starting to see, instead of it being a yo-yo on their thoughts on the regulation based on how they performed that weekend, I think we're starting to hear some more consistent things come out about it being about the technology piece of it. I think that I think it is more helpful to be further into the season like we are right now. I mean, I know we've got Hungary and then a little bit of a break for summer silly season, but I mean, just overall, I think the more consistent note coming from drivers saying that like a lot of this is about technology, not about being about driver skill. That is a bummer to hear. At the end of the day, though, my net result was still that this was the most fun I've had watching a race at Spa than it's been in years.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
it
been,
was yes, I hate that, and I hate that the drivers feel that way. As a fan and a consumer, like, I had a blast watching Spa this year. Like, yeah, there were some dull moments in there, but I think overall there were some really, really fun battles that I enjoyed more than I've enjoyed at Spa in years past.
well, hell, I hate that we missed what seemingly was the best battle of the entire weekend.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
the 10th
The
place battle, the four-way
yes.
10th place battle,
The
ninth
Yeah.
place,
Alpines, the V carbs, like, I
a
wanted to
double overtake by
see it.
Franco Colapinto
Double
in my tiny
overtake,
little
what?
yeah. So I wish that was like fully broadcast because it was way better than just watching the nothingness of the battle between first and second. It was great to
Yeah,
see Kimmy pulling away, but Charles really wasn't going to match his pace. And I wish they would have cut away from that at some point to show
right.
us these guys that are just going off.
Yeah,
Now,
Yeah.
I feel like the only go ahead, sorry.
is it always the same TV director at every race, or does it fluctuate between races? Because there's some where you watch the entire midfield battles, and there's some like this one where you just never see them, and they are solely focused on the top three.
I don't know.
I don't know about, like, broadcasting directors, I'm not sure, but, like, at the beginning, I don't know, it was like we were it was like it was I think, like, maybe, like, laps 12 to 15, there were battles in there where I was like, okay, they were showing some midfield. And I remember watching it and being like, this is awesome. Like it was like Isaac and Gabby, and they were showing it on like the main screen, not just like on the little screen. And I was like, this was so much fun because it was like, first of all, Gabby drove incredible. So like for them to be then showing the battle with Isaac and Gabby was really fun because Isaac had that great recovery from 21 to 6. Like I don't know, that was the juicy stuff. And then, like you said, when we're at the front where it's Kimmy and Charles, and then a 7-second gap back to Max, why are we showing that for the last 15 laps? Why are we not going and showing those midfield battles with the beat carbs and the Alpines? Like that was juicy. We want to see that. Like I think it was really fun though.
Yeah, I was sitting there watching the
I don't know
timing
though. It's a
screen.
great question about broadcasting directors, Paul. What do y'all think about the issue of Lewis got a penalty, and the commentators even said like, hey, it was lap 1, so they're going to be more lenient, and then they give Lewis the 5-second penalty. And then we have the same incident almost, let's see,
Almost
lap
identical.
17 is when they noted no further action between Charles and Oscar. Like what like I know that what happened with Lewis ended George's race. Even George said that was just a racing incident. Like that shouldn't have been a penalty. That was a racing incident. But we saw the same type of situation happen with Charles and Oscar. Oscar's car had damage, not race ending damage, but he had damage. He came on the radio and they alerted him. So I guess I'm confused about if Lewis gets a 5-second penalty and that's lenient because it's lap 1, why does Charles not get a penalty? And if the theory is that it's going to be more harsh because it's not lap 1, I was expecting Charles to get like a 10-second penalty in my mind. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I
Can
think
somebody
to,
riddle me
I
that?
I'm not gonna have anything. I don't have any way to explain this to you because it's complete trash. So here, what makes it even worse to me is in the cool down room when they're rewatching it. Charles even kind of laughs and he's like, calculate what he say, something along the lines of like calculated risk. Like
Calculated.
that was intentional.
And him
That
and
was
Max are
intent.
finishing each other's sentences.
Yeah, which cute couple by the way. But
Precious.
it
Love
just
that for them.
so that means number one, it's calculated. He meant to do that. He meant to put his car in that position. So you compare that then
Yeah, he
with the
directly went
move.
into that line on purpose.
Correct. Yeah, and held it, and then basically created the contact by holding the line. But then you look at that lap 1 incident between Lewis, and it was an unintentional snap of oversteer. That's not losing. I think what they gave him the penalty for was losing the control of the car, but it was It was George's barge board that was pushing air into Lewis, causing the little snap of oversteer. Complete racing incident, should not have been given a penalty. I have not seen one given a penalty like that in a while. That harsh on like a lap 1. Like we've had several where
I
we were
was
like, "Ooh,
like,
they're getting a penalty for sure." I couldn't believe that. And then to see it basically the same thing happen again in a couple, 17 laps later, shocked that Charles didn't pick up a penalty for that. Completely
Not
shocked.
just
and
that,
I'm a
but
Charles fan.
and not just that, but you heard George say it on the radio, like or even post race interviews. It was a racing incident, and we know George
Yeah,
complains about fucking everything, and he even
100%.
admitted it was just a racing incident.
But if Charles would have been given a 5-second time penalty that he would have had to serve at a pit stop, even given the fact that the virtual safety car happened after and he benefited from that pit, if Charles would have received a 5-second penalty and the gap between Charles and Max was 8 seconds at most for most of the race, like we could have been talking about a completely different podium where it could have been, Max on the second step and Charles in third potentially, or, Charles and Lewis could have been battling it out. Who knows? So I think that the call on that penalty changed a lot in terms of what could have been a different podium potential. But I mean, I guess I just was confused by it not
And this is the
being
frustration. We've talked
applied
about this. We've
consistently.
talked about this ad nauseum. How many times have we talked about it? If I had $1 for every time we talked about this, I could retire yesterday. You never know going into
Where
the
are your
weekend what the
dollars then,
rules are.
Paul?
Well, shut up.
We've
There's a
talked
meta.
about it a lot. We should
It's
be
like
rich.
we should. It's like you don't know going into each weekend what is a penalty and what isn't because it always fluctuates and it's frustrating.
I was just glad that they didn't hit him with a post-race time penalty for Lewis for that P4 for
Yeah.
the unsafe release. I was like, the man was in the way.
You almost
The light
killed his
turn.
mechanic.
He had the green light. Like I don't know.
Like,
That's a
as
team
a
issue.
driver, if you have the green light and you go, how are you supposed to help it if one of your pit crew trips and falls into the car?
No,
Like,
we all know
what?
you can't see. You cannot see anything out of the cockpit.
Yeah,
Laterally.
your visor window's this big.
Yeah, you can only see straight in front of you. You can't see anything else. So you're totally reliant in that moment on the team to release you.
Yeah, but then his radio after where he found out, and he's like, "Is he okay?" Like, of course he's concerned about it. I was like, "Oh, wasn't the fine like 30,000 euros or something insane?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would
Which
get
isn't that
hit by
insane
I
when
would
their salaries
absolutely
are.
get hit by a car for 30K. Like, bump me. Let's go. Take a
Absolutely.
tow. I don't care.
Run over by foot. It's all right. I'm good.
Yeah. Let it happen on the job. Workers' comp.
Yeah.
OJI.
Him out OJ.
Yeah, our company has this crazy loophole where if I die on a work trip, my insurance payout is like multiplied like X number of times of what the normal payout would be. So I always say, if I got to go young, let it be on a work trip for Joe's sake. I'm just
Yeah.
thinking about Joe.
Joe will be set for life.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about we didn't get our favorite George radio of the day. But do y'all have a favorite radio message of the day that you heard? Because I have one that was standout.
Will you go first?
Lap 36, the commentator called it the rotisserie wing. So all I could think about was the back of the Ferrari car just all of a sudden having a spit on it, just rotating rotisserie chickens all on it. The rotisserie wing instead of the rear wing. I loved it. I noted it. It was fantastic. But also, there was another one that I really liked that was like right before the finish where someone said like they were talking about Lando and like what he was charging at the end. I think it was Lando. And they said, he doesn't know chill, does he? Like he doesn't know what it means to chill. And I was like, those are fun radios. But I was bummed we didn't get to do our little George quote competition. Although he did have a fun, spicy radio message that you sent, Paul. I thought that was warranted.
They didn't
Yeah.
broadcast the good one, where he just went off and started ranting.
That's the one I was focused on, is how spicy
I loved that.
And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. It all goes back to a computer. And you can make the argument that that's where motor or automobiles and motorsports is going as a whole, but it takes away from the driver. It takes away from the skill that everyone brings to the table. And I don't know. I'm not a fan of it, but thus the world is changing and everything is computerized.
Yeah. Well, we have two drivers this weekend who both on their radios complained about their front wing. We had Carlos Sainz, who was very, very audibly frustrated. He said, "Did someone change the front wing?" And they were like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Why did nobody talk to me? The wing wasn't the issue. The floor is the issue." And then later in the race, Lewis came on and then was also complaining about his front wing. So,
well, the thing with Lewis,
Lewis was supposed to have changes. That's what that guy was supposed to be doing,
and they
and he
didn't
didn't
communicate with him.
correct.
So front wing gate. I know Williams is just a shitbox right now. Hi, Biscuit.
pretty much.
I know Williams is a shitbox right now, but
which I'm assuming that I guess Carlos can feel certain ways, how the car's driving, but I'm sure that Williams had plenty of sensors that were saying that they were losing X amount of, aero from points of downforce or whatever it may have been on that wing, and that's why they decided to change it. I doubt they just decided on a whim.
No, that wasn't on a whim. That was pre-planning.
Or just Williams, and they just don't know what they're doing. Which
it's just Williams. Williams is
likely
just trying their best out here. 2026, their year, baby.
Yeah.
Listen, he's all but done with that team unless something changes drastically in the next.
Where is he going to go though?
Money talks. Carlos brings a lot of money. I'm sure. We've talked about this. There's a lot of vacancies going into next year. I see him leaving. I don't for a second think he's going to stay with Williams.
I don't see Carlos leaving unless there's a top tier team opening up. Like I would only see Carlos leaving if he was going to like a McLaren, a Merc, a Red Bull. Like I don't see him leaving to go to another midfield team where he's rebuilding from the ground up. It's dog day today, y'all.
Absolutely.
That's Gravy's chair, so I can't be mad at him.
Yeah.
And when I record from that chair, he's like, "Mom, what are you doing in my chair?"
That's my chair.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see Carlos leaving to do he took this leap of faith, leaving Ferrari to go to Williams to rebuild Williams. And now with this experience, I don't see him leaving and going to another team unless it's one of those top tier teams.
Yeah, but he's burned his bridges at half the teams we've mentioned. He's driven at most of the top tier teams.
Yeah.
That's right. He was a McLaren driver for a while.
He was a McLaren driver. He's been at Ferrari. He's been at Red Bull.
But he's still got a great relationship with McLaren. So, I mean,
Well,
trust me, I
but
would love to see Carlando content all over my feed again.
oh
But
my
I
god,
think it all goes back to whether or not Oscar wants to stay. I mean, he has a contract through 2028. It's about his decision of if he wants to stay.
yes,
So
Listen,
exactly.
time heals all wounds, and money definitely heals all wounds.
I actually think Max is the linchpin in everything for silly season
Yeah, we've
and
heard
driver
this.
swaps.
Of
Yeah,
Like
course.
everything that is to come, I think is going to be set and determined by what Max decides to do, if he decides to keep racing or what. So I don't know.
yeah. If that domino falls, it's gonna all hell breaks loose in Formula One.
Yeah, agreed. What are y'all's thoughts on Max's performance this weekend? Because I know last week we talked and I was like, I had a whole alternate podium where I saw Max doing great here. And I said, if they can get the technical stuff figured out, I could see him on the podium. And my alternate podium had Max in second. I know the qualifying, obviously, he had like a toe from Isaac, but in race performance, I thought he looked incredible, even though he was saying on the radio, the tires are gone, the tires are shit, the tires are shot, tires are awful, yet he's on the podium. I thought he had a great drive. What were y'all's thoughts on his performance?
I don't believe half the crap that comes out of Max's mouth during the race because how many times have we heard him complain, "Oh, the steering is crap, this is crap, that's crap," and the fucking dude's still podium. So I don't believe half the crap he says. So
I
Max
think
is
it's just it
Max.
comes to just him adapting. Like he just doesn't like it, but he just figures out a way to make it work anyway. I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah,
Agreed. I don't know. It made me happy to see Max up there again. Like, I don't know. I said it this weekend, kind of debriefing with some people after the race. I think when Max is doing well in the sport, it's good for sport. Just like we talked about, when Williams is doing good, it's good for Formula One. Everybody loves seeing Williams do good. Everybody may not love Max doing good, but F1 overall is better when Max is performing well and when we have more people in the mix for title fights. And it's not just, hey, is it going to be Kimi or George this weekend? Like, I think it's fun seeing Max get back up in the mix. If both McLarens can finish races, if both Mercedes can finish races, if both Ferraris can finish races, and we've got Max up in the mix, I think we're going to be in a good place for a fun second half of the season.
and in shocking news, Cadillac broke down again,
We're all
Yeah,
shocked.
just like an American built car, always breaking down.
God, what was it? Checo had 3 pit stops before lap. Like, what? God, when did he officially have to retire? I was trying to see if I noted. Yeah, it was like I looked down and all of a sudden it was like Checo 3 pit stops. And I was like, 3 pit stops. And I was like, surely they're going to retire the car soon. And then they
Broken suspension.
hate that for them.
I don't.
You should have put him in your prediction again. When you put him in your prediction, they both finished the race.
That's true. That's true.
So
But this
manifest it for us, Paul.
But this solidifies if you want a car that works, you buy a Mercedes or an import. Don't buy American.
Yes, the Mercedes that George was yelling about on the radio about being
Yeah,
slow
I
and
was
having
like,
no power.
reliability
One,
issues.
one won, one fit, one didn't. It's 50%. I'll take those chances. I guess you could say the same about Cadillac, right? Valtteri ended up finishing the race.
Okay, well, any other thoughts on Spa? Any other things you didn't share? Hot takes? Anything you got?
No,
Okay, well,
Call
let's do
Call Pinto might have had the overtake of the year. That
well, that double
wasn't even
overtake was insane.
broadcast.
Yeah, yeah. Like,
the world missed a great pass.
is there? Do they do an award, a motorsport award for
Mhm.
overtake of the year? Yeah,
Yeah.
that should get it. I mean, who knows? Maybe there'll be something crazy later this season, but I think that was amazing.
But that was up there.
Okay, so let's recap points from the predictions. So Josh predicted George, Kimmy, Lewis, and all Mercedes and customer teams score points. Paul had Kimmy, Lewis, George, 2 DNFs or DNSs, 1 Alpine, 1 Racing Bull, and 1 Haas in the points. I had Kimmy, Charles, George, and then both Ferrari's top 5. So, Josh, you pick up no points this week because Williams screwed you on your shocker prediction, and you get a -1 because of George DNF. Paul, you picked up a point for Kimmy winning, but you lose a point for George DNFing, and your shocker did not come to fruition. I pick up a point for Kimmy. I pick up a point for Charles. I deduct a point for George, but I pick up a point for both Ferrari's top 5. So that brings our new points total to Josh 10. Paul is flat at 0, and I am at 7.
Look at you go, girl.
I'm trying to catch back up.
Coming right back up.
Who says girls don't know about motorsports?
That's right.
Stupid
That's right.
idiots.
What you think about that, Mad Dog? Mad Dog was the dude in my socials, okay? That's literally his Instagram name, Mad Dog.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
This one's for you, Mad Dog. Okay, well, let's shift gears. Let's talk Hungary this weekend. So many people forgot it was a doubleheader weekend, and we're
Mhm.
like, oh. And then we go into Budapest this weekend. Hungary's a track that I feel like I feel bad saying this. Like I feel like it's kind of forgettable for me. Like there's nothing distinguishing about it for me, but it's one that I want to go to because I would love to go to Spa and Hungary back to back. Like that'd be a great trip to go do. So I would love to go to Budapest. But what are y'all's thoughts on Hungary? Do you have any
Well,
track talk, nerd talk for us, Josh?
absolutely. We got to get the nerd talk.
Well, I think the big one for this weekend, it's gonna be hot. Like we know Europe's been in this heat wave, right? It's gonna be hot.
Caliente.
So I'm looking here. It's got like a 31 degrees Celsius heat, which is nuts. And then you can add 10, 12 degrees to a tarmac surface. So I think tire deg is going to be higher. So, I mean, maybe you're looking at a two or three, hopefully a three stop. But,
Ooh, that'd be sick.
I'm hoping for a three stop, but the dang hard tire just looks so resilient. It's because it seems like it
Yeah,
grains
how
and
many
then it
laps
just
did
comes right
Lando
back.
go on that hard tire?
Like a stupid amount, like way more than there should be
Yeah,
on
they ruined his race by not pitting him earlier.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, anyway, we can talk about that too. Like
Forgot about that.
there was
Sorry.
several strategy decisions I thought kind of messed
Yeah.
up people's races throughout that.
Sorry, I totally forgot about the Lando pit thing, but I mean, that you're right. Like that hard tire lasted
Lasted
incredibly
forever.
long.
Yeah, so if that's any indication on how these cars are on the hard tire, it could very well be a two stop and it just ends up another race almost identical to the one we saw. But I think that's the tale of the weekend is going to be how hot it is and a tire deg. I don't see any rain on the radar. I think it's just going to be hot. So
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
I
I
mean,
think
yeah, it's like you said, it's not like the craziest track in the world. It doesn't have like a lot of notable characteristics. That pit straight will be good for like multiple overtakes. It'll depend because the end of sector 3 is a good place to recharge a battery. So
okay.
there shouldn't be a lot of places for you to drain your battery down before you get to the pit straight. So there shouldn't be a lot of yo-yoing on the pit straight. Hopefully, it
You
depends on I
never
guess
know.
how the software, whatever. But throughout the middle of the lap, there's a lot of places to recharge the battery. So it could be a better race tailored more so for this regulation set. So we'll see.
Interesting. And it was hot in Austria again. So I would imagine that the heat in Hungary is probably pretty similar to like the heat of the Austrian mountains. Like I would imagine that it's
I would,
a
yeah, I would think so.
yeah, I would imagine that it's a very similar climate, which is like not that hot to us, that live down here in the armpit of the United States. But for them, like, yeah, it's hot and then even, hotter on track. So I think it'll be interesting to watch. Let's talk about the Aston Martin car. This is supposed to be their massive upgrade of the season. It's supposed to be essentially an entirely different car and a different setup. What are your hopes, thoughts, dreams, aspirations, reality checks on the Aston Martin upgrade? Paul, I'll come to you first on that.
I don't know. My expectations are low about that car. It's just been a dud of a year. So I'm just going to just keep expectations low and hopefully they surprise me.
What about you, Josh?
I'd love to see him rival the rest of the midfield like right out of the gate. I think that would give quite a spark to that team, and I think that would rejuvenate Fernando's mentality. I guess going into the rest of the year, for them to maybe battle Williams or to have a decent qualifying, I think that would be great for that team's motivation going forward.
Yeah. Agreed. I like for Alonso, I would just absolutely love it if this car was great and if the updates are phenomenal. But, I feel a little bit jaded because similar to the Williams experience where, they said they put everything in the 2026 basket and then it has not delivered for Williams. I feel like I'm a little jaded in the sense of like hearing, oh, well, Aston Martin's put everything into these upgrades and it's supposed to be like an entirely new car. I feel a little jaded on trusting word of mouth. So for Alonso, I would love to see it. The fact that Stroll has outqualified Alonso multiple races this season, like that is a bummer to see. So I would love it for Aston Martin if they bring a great upgrade. It'd be fun to see. And, like you said, having another team in the midfield battles, like for what we've already gotten this year with V Carb and Alpine, like hell yeah, that's amazing. Let's get Aston Martin up in that mix. I'd be all for it.
Yeah, Audi's looking stronger than they had in the last few races. They were battling for a points position, so
Yeah, Gabby did
that's
what?
another one.
Gabby placed in 8th or something?
Hmm.
Let's see. Yeah, Gabby was in 8th. Nico was just outside in 13, and it's like, if you're Nico Hulkenberg and you're right behind that V-Carb Alpine battle, what are your odds? Like Gabby was lucky that he battled early on and got up to where he did and stayed there and was right ahead of that fight. Because if you're Nico Hulkenberg, how do you get past that V Carbon Alpine fight? That's insurmountable in my opinion. One team that I am interested to see how they do this weekend because they've done pretty well earlier in the season, or at least, Ollie has. Haas. I was a little disappointed in the performance of Haas this weekend, so I'm excited to see if they can learn a little bit and rebound come Hungary. If they come hungry to Hungary,
Hungry
preferably.
to hungry. Yeah, I know. I mean, I
I
would
see
love
what
to
you
see it.
did there.
Yeah,
They
I would
seem
love
like
to see them do good.
they were a lot hotter at the
Mhm.
beginning of the year. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what happened either. It seemed like they came out of the gate a little hotter, so I'd love to see them get back up in the mix and do well. Hi, buddy. You're so sweet. Any other thoughts on Hungary?
Sorry, I'm focused on my predictions. I've been doing a
It's
little
okay. That's what
research.
we have
We're
next.
doing a little research here on the old interweb.
Oh my god, don't you dare chat GPT your predictions,
ChatGPT, who's
Paul.
gonna win?
Dude, I've never thought about doing that.
Don't. That's not how we play this game. Let's coming right to you then, Paul.
You
If there
can't
are
tell
no
me
other thoughts,
you can't tell me what to do.
if there are no other thoughts on Hungary, let's just get right into predictions. Paul, we'll come to you first. Because you know what, Paul? There's nowhere to go but up.
Shut your face. You're right. You're 100%.
All right, who do you got for your podium and what do you have for your shocker?
Hang on, I'm still writing. I went to public school. I'm a slow writer.
What does
This
public
isn't turned
school
in
have
a
to do
written
with
form.
slow writing?
What's that?
So what does public school have to do with slow writing?
I don't know. I'm done. Give me a minute. Well, let's go with Josh. Let's go
Okay,
with the
Josh, we'll
reigning
come to you.
champion.
Our resident leader, our champion, Josh.
I
What
have
you got?
the great Kimi Antonelli winning. I
Okay.
think that's probably everyone's gonna have that as well.
Okay.
I'm gonna take Lewis and then Lando.
Dang, son.
And what's your shocker?
Let's see. Shocker prediction. I think that we'll stick on the Aston Martins. I think the Aston Martins will compete for 11th to 15th position, around in there.
Both or one?
One
Okay.
one, the only one that's piloted by a
Okay.
driver that's legitimate.
Okay, Paul, are you ready?
All right. I got Kimmy winning, Lewis and Charles second and third. And you know what? We're just gonna we're gonna keep it safe because I feel like I need some points right now. Okay. I'm just gonna keep it safe. Both Aston Martins finish the race.
Okay, I like it. I have Kimmy, Charles, Lando. And then for my shocker, I'm gonna try a little bit of I'm doing a little bit of a Paul here. I'm doing both V carbs are finishing in the point plus an Alpine. So I'm doing a little combo there.
Nice.
So both V carbs and an Alpine in the points. But we all have very similar podiums. We all have Kimmy winning. Josh, you and I both have Lando in third. Y'all both have Lewis in second, and then I have Charles in second, and Paul has Charles in third. So we've got the same players in different places, which is kind of fun for us. And I like our shockers; those are good.
Perfect. Easy.
Well, any other things we'd let's speaking of Spain winning the World Cup, our other notorious Spaniard motorsport driver, Alex Palou, won the Music City GP for IndyCar this weekend
Can we
after weather delays.
Can we talk about the mess that Fox and IndyCar made for
Yeah, that
themselves?
was an absolute mess, and I think it is really interesting because I get what they were trying to do from a broadcasting perspective. The World Cup is ending. The coverage is going to continue. They are going to eventually just blend it right into the Nashville. Why did I want to say NASCAR again?
Nice.
Nashville
NASCAR.
Music City IndyCar race. And they wanted to blend it right in to be able to introduce that into the next sport, maybe catch some people that have fans, highest viewership ever. I get it from a strategy perspective, but then the World Cup ran overtime. IndyCar people were just waiting for it to start, and then weather delay. Boom, FIFA World Cup ends, and then all of a sudden weather delay. Multiple hours of weather delays, ultimately to the point where it rained so hard they had to cancel the race on Sunday, move it to Monday, and then Monday, an hour and a half before the race is scheduled to start, they then announced that the race is going to be 75 laps shorter than the normal race is. So a lot of
Well,
blunders.
not just that though. Not just that though. They offered $10 tickets on Monday anywhere you wanted to sit. So as a fan, if you paid full price for the ticket on Sunday, you're sitting next to somebody that cashed in on a $10 ticket. I thought that was crap.
Yeah, that would be a bit of a bummer. You would think that there would need to be a voucher or a refund system in place for some of the other stuff. Like,
Yeah, and I thought, I mean, I get the concept of cashing in on all the fans finishing up the World Cup, but did they never for a second, the last World Cup went into extra time. Did they not for a second think that this was gonna happen? It seemed like it was a mess, and nobody seemed to know what was happening. Because I was watching the World Cup final, and I was like, "Alright, are we gonna cut? Are we gonna cut? Are we gonna cut to the
yeah,
race?"
what do
And they kept
rolling
going on
into
with
it.
commentators, and I was like, "I get it, right? You don't wanna cut the World Cup, right, the broadcast at the end, but it's like, you promised me that after the final whistle would happen, 20 minutes that was going to be their cue. Once the final whistle blew for the World Cup, they had a 20-minute cue or wait until the IndyCar race started. It seemed like it went on forever. And it
Yeah,
was
but
like,
I think at
what?
that point, they were also already in a weather delay. So
Yeah, so they just
it
let
was
them
kind of
go.
one of those things where it was like they continued the coverage because there was nothing for them to shift to. So would you rather continue World Cup coverage or would you rather shift over
Sure.
to IndyCar coverage? Which one are you going to get more viewership on? You're going to get more viewership on the FIFA World Cup. I get that 100%. So
Yeah, but
I
I don't
mean,
know,
but in life,
and this is why they moved Nashville further up to give people an exciting race to then get more fans to watch IndyCar race.
right?
I don't know. I thought it was a complete swing and miss by IndyCar. I think they completely messed it up, and you cheated fans out of 75 laps that they signed up for.
Yeah.
This was a big selling point. Is like, we're gonna make it longer because it's an exciting race. Overall, I thought it was a huge swing and miss by Fox and IndyCar, and what are
Yeah.
you gonna do? I mean, you can't control the weather, right?
No, you can't.
So
I mean, I
I
think
get
that's the hard part is that like have the FIFA broadcast just run long, right? Like had the match just had overtime and the broadcast run long, and then they just had to delay the start of the Nashville IndyCar race. I would have understood that because they could have said, "Hey, we're in honor of the World Cup, and because Fox is doing the broadcast coverage, we're gonna actually delay the start by 30 minutes, whatever." But they already had the weather systems that were moving in, like, and that's a crappy situation. But one of the guys that I met on that work trip I went, Patrick, like he was messaging me, like they were on the grid. They had to stay down on the grid the entire time because they didn't know how long that weather front was going to be moving through. So they were just kind of delaying it and hoping. And then once that system moved in, it was kind of like that. I don't know if y'all saw pictures of the wall of storms that came in, but it was all
and then the other mess was some markets around the country didn't even show the race on Monday. And then some markets, I believe I saw that Cincinnati cut it halfway through the race to go to local news.
yeah.
So it was a complete fumble, and I
I
don't
mean,
know.
but imagine from a broadcasting perspective, you have to change your prime time television because it's like a race is delayed. There's so many moving factors that make me so glad to not be in broadcasting. But I think they made the right call to stay on the World Cup coverage on Sunday. What they should have done is made an announcement. I didn't hear a clear announcement of the IndyCar race has been delayed due to weather, which is the cause for us extending the FIFA World Cup coverage. As soon as we have an update for IndyCar, we'll transition the coverage over. I feel like the communication could have been better. But one thing I guarantee is that they will hopefully learn from this and do better and be able to plan better. I also think it is interesting to hear the reaction of like people were actually really mad that Nashville is no longer the last race of the IndyCar season and that they moved it to Laguna Seca. Like this was supposed to be the selling point. This was why they flipped it, was to be able to cover Nashville after the World Cup and bring in a bunch of viewership and then finish the season at Laguna Seca at the Corkscrew. So I think the reaction will be interesting to see when it comes to the final of the season and then be like, well, what if Nashville had been whatever. And then I think it'll be interesting to see if it sticks on the calendar or if they switch back to Nashville being the end of the season next year.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yes.
enjoyed it being the last race of the year. It was a very exciting. I will say that I was watching videos. The fan zone this year in Nashville seemed to be a lot more exciting than it was last year.
Yeah, I didn't
They
see
had
it. I didn't see
they had
anything
they
of
had
it.
the World Cup showing. They created a small pitch and the fan zone where people can
That's
play
awesome.
soccer, and so they had bands playing. So it looked a lot more fun. Granted, you saw a lot of people complaining about how hot it was, but it's Tennessee
It's
in the
Tennessee in
summer.
the
Like,
summer.
you're gonna get heat,
Yeah.
you're gonna get high humidity,
Yeah.
and
IndyCar fans, if you thought Tennessee in the summer was hot, come to Coda in October.
yeah, I mean, it's just that's what happens when you have a race in the South. It's gonna be hot, it's gonna be muggy. You just prepare for that. So
Yeah.
there's
Agreed.
nothing you can do about that. So
Net
overall,
result,
it was a
though,
swing and a
still
miss.
Alex Palou winning. What a
To me,
cool
though,
thing for him. Like, number one, what a cool thing to be able to finish watching your team win the World Cup because y'all are on a delay. You know, it's like, you have this potential weather delay coming in. You get to finish watching the World Cup. Your team wins the World Cup. You're mentally gearing up. Weather delay. You're on cloud nine. You get to celebrate Spain winning. And then you go on to win the race the next day. What a cool thing for Alex Palou. Like, that's just got to be an awesome feeling. I know he was so excited. So I just think I think that's a cool story. And then it
to
was
me,
Joseph Newgarden and David Malukas in second
and
and third, which
that
David
was good.
Malukas, incredible recovery after that accident.
That
Wow.
was what I was going to say. The two things that stuck out to me the most about Monday's race was David Malukas went from crashing, going to the hospital, couldn't really qualify and do much of anything, and then to get
On
a
the podium.
podium. Listen, sky's the limit for that guy.
Sky's the limit.
That guy's on a fucking tear. And also, let's not forget his first top 10 finish of the year. Mick Schumacher finishes in 8th. So
Yeah.
at an oval race, something that he's not notoriously not notoriously, he's never really done other than this year. He didn't have a great showing in Phoenix. St. Louis was iffy, but he's starting to get the hang of it. I really hope that he gets a seat into next year. He seems confident in his post-race interviews that he'll be there for next year. But huge congrats to
Yeah.
Mick for getting a
Congrats,
top
Mick.
10 finish at Nashville. In that heat, you saw Pato coming out of the car and dumping cold water on himself because it's just tough. It's a tough race. So good for him. I'm happy for him.
Me too. Okay, well, on that note, we have Hungary this weekend. We don't have any IndyCar. They're on a little bit of a break.
I thought NASCAR, they were at North Wilkesboro. Joey Logano won. Great
Joey
for
Logano.
him. That
For
car
him.
was on a tear. But to me, the headline of that weekend was SVG when he went to lead the race. It was one of
radio.
those, I'm leading the race. What the
I'm
fuck
in the
do
race.
I
What do
do?
I do? What do I do? I'm leading the race. What do I do? Guys, what do I do?
I feel like that would be my reaction if I got into that car and I ended up leading the race. I was like, guys, I'm in first. What the fuck do I do right now? Just I can keep going. So, and he got a top 10 finish. So SVG, which is not known for doing great on ovals, the road courses and street courses are his thing. So kudos to him. Great job for him. But
best radio of the NASCAR season, in my opinion. That's just excellent.
I'll go as far as to say best radio of motorsports weekend.
It was
as a
so
whole.
Ricky Bobby coded. I loved it.
I was like, what do I do? Just keep doing what you're doing, bud.
Okay, let's see. Is there NASCAR this weekend?
I believe they're in
IMS,
Indianapolis.
Yeah, they're at the IMS road course in Indianapolis. So that'll be a fun one. So next week we'll be back at you with Hungary recap, and we'll debrief IMS road course for NASCAR, basically talking about SVG winning again, another road course.
God, could you?
So,
No, I think this is the oval.
is it the oval?
I believe it's the oval, not.
Well, I'm not watching then. If it's not SVG with another sick radio, I don't want it.
I don't want to hear this.
Okay. Regardless, next week we'll be back with Hungary, Indianapolis recap from Paul on NASCAR. Everybody have a great rest of your week. Engage with us, like, follow, share, comment, engage with us. If you want to hop on and chat with us, let us know. And on that, we'll see you guys next week. Bye, everybody.
Then, guys.
See ya.